Hey, it's Educate Ebony, the metal edition. I am your host, Ebony, and I'm excited for another great episode. But we do need to backtrack to last week when I spoke to Jack Bergen from Void of Vision, and he told me to listen to Korn's self-titled album. I actually went for a run and chucked this one on, and had to stop so many times to take notes because I just didn't want to forget my first impressions. I didn't run very much. The main thing that stood out for me was Jonathan Davis's vocals. He does so many things with his voice, I couldn't believe it. He sings through his teeth, from the back of his throat, through his nose. You know, he croons, he sings, he yells, he whispers, mutters, and he breathes. And it has just never been more apparent to me that that's what people mean when they say that the voice is an instrument. Basically, I loved the album. It's recorded live, it sounded really cool. Freaking love the bass line, so groovy. You should listen to it. All right, well, let's kick off episode 3 of Educate Ebony, the metal edition. And for this episode, I would love to introduce Susannah Ioannou. Susannah is the creative mind and editor behind Australian publication TEO Magazine. She is a manager and publicist, and I've never met anyone who has managed to blend heavy metal and fashion in the way she does so well. Welcome to the podcast, Susannah.
Thank you. So good to talk to you.
Yeah, a little bit of backstory for everyone. You and I actually go way back to our uni days when you first started up, TEO, and actually took a chance on me as a totally unexperienced music journo. So, thank you so much. Look at us now. Come so far.
Yeah, well, it was well worth the effort. So, and you, turned out to be someone that was there for pretty much the whole thing. So thank you for being on board for so long.
Oh, it was a good time. And after 7 amazing years, it's a bit of an end of an era with TEO closing up shop. So yeah, honestly, thank you for giving me such an incredible startup in the industry. And how do you feel after so long, closing a chapter and going on to something new?
It's bittersweet. It's definitely an emotional thing to announce. It was kind of sort of since COVID, things were slowing down. So I felt like it was time to make an official announcement. But yeah, I'm happy at the same time because I got so much out of it in so many ways. It was really fulfilling and met really amazing people, and it's kind of connected me to all these other new projects outside of it. So yeah, but I'll always be a bit nostalgic about it. I had so much fun doing it. So I do sometimes miss it, but it's not the end of the spirit of TEO. It's just the end of it in that form.
Yeah. Do you have I don't want to say a favourite memory because that makes it sound really, way back when, a favourite accomplishment or something you're really proud of?
Wow. I feel like we'll get off the phone and I'll think of 10 things, but it would have to be a big highlight you were there for it, having dinner with Alice Cooper.
Yes.
I mean, that was surreal. But yeah, I mean, the launch party, just seeing every issue come together at the end, it's so hard to pinpoint one thing.
I think the Alice Cooper dinner was definitely a huge highlight for me. That was insane.
Yeah, it was so memorable. So it's hard to sort of top something like that when, you come into it I started it before I'd finished my degree, and yeah, you were still at uni, and to think that just a year after starting it, we're having dinner with Alice and going backstage with Drowning Pool and but all the creating, all of it. It was so fun meeting everyone, all the contributors, everyone was equally exciting to connect with, the publicists we worked with, everyone, just so many good relationships. So yeah.
What a good time. I'm not getting emotional.
Yeah. I've had so emotional since Friday when I announced the end. So yeah, but no, I'm happy with my decision, but yeah, definitely will always miss that time of my life, 7 years. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely super interested to hear because you're, really into your classic metal and your glam rock and metal and stuff. What do you think is the one metal album that I need to hear?
Gutter Ballet by Savatage. They're an American band. I don't know if you've heard of them. I've
never heard of them.
I came across them a little bit later into my sort of 80s metal time. So this particular album was released in late 89, so it was only just an 80s album. And I don't know their other albums as well as Gutter Ballet because it's my favourite. I listen to it all the time. But I think they started off a bit more sort of traditional heavy metal, but they actually started going a bit more progressive metal. They got a bit more experimental and, a bit more adventurous and symphonic in some albums. So, when you asked me to do this, I thought, it was just a no-brainer. It took a second. And it's not an album that's been a favourite for a long time, but that's only because I didn't know of it for that long. Yeah.
Right. So when did you first hear it?
Probably, I reckon 3 years ago. You won't believe this. Have you heard of the app Song Pop?
No.
So it's a game. You play random people on the internet and you can pick or choose genres or artists or eras or themes like movie soundtracks. And you play strangers on the internet. Basically, you get a sample of a song and it gives you 5 band and song names, and then you have to guess which band and song it is just based on this really short snippet of it, which might only be instrumental usually.
Okay.
So I first heard Savatage through that, I reckon. 2 songs, and they were actually, the songs themselves on the album are completely instrumental. So that's something that's quite special about the album as well, that it's got 2 instrumental tracks. So they were Silk and Steel and Temptation Revelation. And I remember going onto YouTube, looking them up because the guitar work was just incredible. So, I went onto YouTube to listen to the rest of the songs, and then I realised that there are absolutely no vocals. It wasn't just because it was a snippet on this app. Like, they're just completely instrumental. And then, I reckon then I just randomly came across Hall of the Mountain King, which is from a different album. But a couple of years, maybe only about a year and a half ago is when I really started listening to more Savatage and then ordered the albums online. So probably I've only been listening to Gutter Ballet for about a year.
Wow, and it's like made a huge impact.
Huge. I listen to Savatage every day. They're easily in my top 5 favourite bands. And the album itself, I just think every track on it is really, really good. It's just a very powerful album.
That's really cool because, so many people are like, I've been listening to this album for, so many years, but it's really great to hear that you can still find a band that ends up becoming really important to you in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous because I've only been listening to it for a year. And then you've got these people that would be just so knowledgeable. They would know every word off by heart because they've been listening. It was an album they grew up on. But for me, it's only been about a year, but I just have complete confidence. Like, as soon as you asked what album I would want to talk about, I just couldn't think of a better album. It's just so interesting and, just so many layers to it. Like, there's just so many different little interesting parts and, I don't even know where to begin, really.
Well, so you heard it first on this game app, Song Pop, and then when you, listened to the album, so it was the instrumentals that stood out to you first, or the lyrics came afterwards in the other songs? What part was like, this is an album that I need to listen to again?
Well, like I said, there were those 2 instrumental songs on the game, and they were my introduction to the band in general, but they also both happened to be on Gutter Ballet. And I would say one of the 2, Temptation Revelation, would probably be one of my favourite tracks anyway. But then I reckon before I heard the album in full, I did come across the song When the Crowds Are Gone, which is, I don't know, I would say probably their biggest song in my opinion. It's just huge, it's powerful, it's emotional. And I don't know if my sources are credible, but I've read that John Oliver, the lead of the band, he's the lead singer and he sometimes plays some of the instruments. I read that it's his favourite song, at least on the album, possibly out of all of their songs. So, sorry, I'm rambling now. But
no, it's interesting to hear, yeah.
But, so that song's huge. What was the question again, though?
I don't really know. I just enjoy listening to you talk, to be honest.
Honestly, I can ramble so much, so sometimes I need a refresher.
Well, it sounds like you've listened to, obviously the album, a lot of times, and I feel like when you listen to albums, you always notice something different or something new, or you're like, oh my God, I just never heard that bass line as prominent. You know, it's been there the entire time, but I've only just now picked it up. Do you reckon there's an aspect that you think maybe other people overlook or don't notice, but you've just heard it and been like, oh my God, I need to tell people about this?
So hard to say. It's hard to know how the other people listen to it, like what they hear, what stands out to them. The unfortunate thing is there aren't too many people I can discuss the album with because not that many people know about it. Even people that have been into metal, you know, people that grew up in the 80s, like I'm a 90s kid, but even people that grew up in the 80s when, you know, 'cause the album came out 89, but they'd released other music earlier than that.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of people don't even know about them.
Really?
And it's not that they were a small band, but I just think that they're a bit underrated. Yeah, it's weird, but there's only a handful of people I've come across who actually properly know the band and who I would be able to talk to about the album. So it's so hard to even know what people think of it. I guess obviously I follow their social media and every now and then I'll, you know, read bits and pieces about them on the internet because I'm interested, and then I see other people who are fans and it seems like When the Crowds Are Gone is a very popular song. I mean, the album opener of Rage and War is amazing. Like the bass intro is really cool. It's got proggy elements to it. Actually, maybe one of the songs that would be overlooked would be Thorazine Shuffle, which is the last song, I believe. And yeah, just really cool aggressive vocals, interesting time signatures. Yeah, I think maybe that's one that might get overlooked a little bit. But the album in general has been overlooked, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, do you reckon, because like 70s was pretty big for prog, do you reckon if it were released maybe in the 70s instead of the 80s, people would have noticed it more because of the prog element?
I don't actually know because it's just so unique. I think the prog is still subtle. Like they've played prog festivals, but then their fans are probably more traditional heavy metal fans. It's hard to say. I feel like they're just such a unique band. They've got a theatrical aspect. So John, I hope I'm pronouncing his surname right, Oliva. I only ever see it written. I never hear anyone actually saying it. So so John Oliva, one of the key writers and lead vocalist, or at least during some eras of the band, they've had another singer at other parts. Yeah, sometimes his vocals can almost go a little bit Broadway, which
really,
which is a bit quirky, and I think maybe for some metal fans might be a little bit off-putting. And even for me, it can go a little bit too far. But he doesn't do too much of that specifically on Gutter Ballet, but he can go that way. I don't know if you know the band Nevermore.
No,
but my partner and I were saying that Savatage in some ways is almost like a soft version of Nevermore, but on their own they're not soft at all. They're a heavy band. But yeah, I'm probably going off on a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, it's hard to say like if it would have appealed more to people in the 70s because it's really different to the prog that was coming out of the 70s. So yeah, very much.
I'm definitely just thinking like coming into the 90s as well, very different like musical soundscape.
Yeah.
All I can think of is like just 90s like hip hop, and I know that's not what we're talking about, but like I guess, you know, sometimes bands just get overlooked because people are like, oh my God, there's way more exciting things happening, but they don't understand the power of metal and how awesome it can be.
Well, yeah, I mean, this band is just, it's not mainstream at all, but I think for anyone that appreciates good guitar work, like technical guitar playing and just interesting music in general, I just think that, yeah, it's a band that they need to check out. And yeah, particularly the album Gutter Ballet.
Yeah. So obviously you're still listening to it now, but do you reckon like another, how long has it been? How long has it been since 1989? A long time. Almost 30 years.
Nearly 32. Because that was that was the year I was born.
Oh, so cute. Well, do you reckon it's going to stand up for another 32 years?
Well, for me, yes. And surely with the internet being so big now, and they are on Spotify, so surely people will even people who are kids now that is just getting into heavy metal, they'll surely start discovering it. But yeah, I absolutely think it will hold up. It's just it's never been entirely mainstream. I don't know, I'm talking about them like they weren't big at all. They played huge shows and big festivals, but you just don't hear anybody talking about them. Like,
Yeah, you literally don't. I've never heard of Savatage before, so
yeah, and I'm not even surprised, unfortunately.
that's really sad. I always like to ask this question, but do you have any listening notes as well? So like when I go to sit down and listen to the album, should I listen to it before bed? What are we thinking, like during a drive, at the gym, go for a walk?
I think there's a song for every mood.
Cool.
So the album opener of Rage and War is a bit more of an upbeat track for them. I don't know if groovy, if that's not groovy, but like it's got a bit of groove to it. Maybe I'm just thinking because that bass line, that one, I think I actually hear and appreciate the bass and the drums more when I'm driving. It's just a bit more energetic. Something like When the Crowds Are Gone. It's so intense, so emotional. The vocals become really aggressive in certain parts. It makes you feel a million things at once. So that's, for me, I could listen to it at any point. I don't know if you're in a mood where you're feeling a bit nostalgic or just...
Yeah, it's like an everyday, just life everyday kind of album.
Yeah. There's a song on there that I would absolutely feel like at any point of the day.
That's awesome. Do you reckon that any other bands sort of have managed to do that for you? Like, I know that I can listen to Gutter Ballet whenever I want, fits every mood. Do you reckon there are any other bands or albums that you could say the same about?
There's definitely a lot of Wasp songs where, throughout the day, there would be something by Wasp that I could listen to, but I don't know if I could put it down to one specific album. So, yeah, I guess... Yeah, there are quite a few bands where I could listen to them every single day, but it's just not that there's, one album in particular.
Yeah. This is a special one then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Anything else you want to add that's special or that we need to know about this album?
I'm just trying to think. I was sort of trying to think of points just throughout the day because it is such a special album and I wanted to do it justice, but then it's so hard to summarize it.
Yeah.
I think, just some of the things that are unique is that they're sort of an 80s heavy metal band with a progressive element. The album has 2 instrumentals on it. It's got, really aggressive songs. It's got a ballady song. It's the last 3 on the album. I think this is the order: Mentally Yours, Summer's Rain, and Thorazine Shuffle. I think that's the order. They are sort of all linked together. They're about one particular character. And so I guess it's sort of interesting when you, start paying attention to the lyrics and everything. But I think those are some of the main points that make it a really exciting album.
Awesome. So it's not quite a concept album, but they do, I guess, follow through on a couple of songs as well.
Yeah. After this album, I think they did release at least a couple of concept albums. One of them, Streets, a rock opera. That one actually has a song that ties in with When the Crowds Are Gone. Sorry, I keep talking about When the Crowds Are Gone.
It's a good song.
But there's a few very specific lines that are actually in one of the songs on that album. So there's a lot of interesting things that Savatage do and themes. And Gutter Ballet was actually, I think, the inspiration behind it. Maybe not the entire album, but the title track in particular was influenced by Phantom of the Opera. And there's orchestral parts to it. So it's a very interesting album, and lots of little things that you find out when you start reading and paying attention to the lyrics. But I won't talk your head off about all of it.
No, I mean, some of it, most of it, definitely. I was just thinking, like, even the album title, Gutter Ballet, that's pretty visual, like what ballet just in a gutter. I don't know what that says. It's like a little bit elegant, a little bit dirty.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the album sort of reflects that in a way. It's got sort of like the dark and light. It's got soft parts. It's got piano in there. Yeah, it's got the emotional, the sort of like really raw emotion, and then it's just it can be really powerful and aggressive and in your face. And I think the title actually really beautifully captures everything that's on there.
Oh my gosh, why haven't I heard this band before? Seriously.
Go and listen to it. When we get off the phone, you need to put it on.
Oh, definitely. That is the plan. I do have homework from these chats.
Yeah, and you have to tell me what you think of it after.
Yeah, I will. Oh my goodness. Oh, amazing. All right, well, there we have it. The one metal album that Susannah Ioannou thinks you and I should listen to is Gutter Ballet by Savatage. Susannah, thank you so much for your wisdom. I can't wait to listen to it from your point of view.
Thank you for the chat, Ebony. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you will.
I definitely will. This is going to be great. And I have to check out Song Pop, that game.
Yeah. I went through a period where I was addicted to it. It's a bit of a time waster, and you can only play it when you can have the volume up on your phone. But I somehow spent so much time on it.
I need to replace TikTok somehow, so I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, that's a good contender.
I can't believe, I swear you were going to choose like a Motley Crue album or something from like Pantera or something. So I'm really surprised. This is awesome.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to have not been predictable.
No, I was trying to figure out, just being like, well, I know she likes these guys. And maybe like Sebastian, what's his face?
Sebastian Bach from Skid Row.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
Well, they are very up there for me, so you do know me well.